John says, I got the GB checklist. Thanks. I'm really interested in the link building sections, but it's a little overwhelming. Can you go through those sections so I can make sure I'm doing things right or using them the right way? Okay, so this was the question that came up that I was talking about regarding the training. And guys, again, if you just go to our YouTube channel and you search for, competitive link analysis or something like that, or link analysis for local SEO, any one of those kind of very search phrases, it'll come up on our channel. Okay. Then you can watch it. It's like an hour and 8 minutes long, but it in the first comment and also in the description, if you go to in the description, it points you to go opt in for the Google Business Checklist, but you can go to the first comment and click and go straight to the make a copy of this workbook here. This is the competitive link analysis workbook that we use. And so there's a template there that you can access through that lesson. And I go into great detail as to how to use it. But one thing you want to do is download and install SEO tools for Excel. So that's a plugin for Excel. Yes, there are a lot of paid tools for this. And that's what we're looking at here. This ribbon up here is the SEO tools add-on. Okay. So there are things in here that you have to pay SEO tools for to have a license to use. But you can download it and install it into Excel and not have to pay for anything if you're going to be using Majestic, which is how we use it, for backlink analysis. And then you just have to have a paid Majestic account, which then you sign in. So again, like if I come over to, like, for example, and I'm just going to give you guys a quick tutorial on this, but like if I come over here and, for example, I go to the location landing page, that is a sheet that we use just for analyzing the backlink profile of the money site or the location landing page, if that makes sense. So you can see that I have Majestic here. And if I click on Majestic and I click backlinks, because we only use it for backlink analysis, then I'm going to, let me log out and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so it's going to say log in like this. And then I'm just going to click log in and it's going to direct me to log into one of my Majestic accounts. I have more than one. So give me 1 second and I'm going to log into this one. 3858. Grant access. Then I can close this down and go back to this. And now you'll see that it's got this kind of Excel function over, or excuse me, this Majestic function over here. Well, again, as what I shared in that training, if you click on load, well, the way that there's settings in there that I always use for backlink analysis. And so I save that as a profile. Okay. So that's target URL backlinks. And again, the settings are all explained in that training video. But I'm going to go ahead and click select. And now the settings that I've selected that I want are now already applied to this, this sheet, so to speak. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I would come up here and I would click clear to clear contents. And then I would take the URL that we're going to analyze and I would plug it into there, but we're going to do 4 versions of the URL. For most things, this is relevant, and I'll explain what I mean. If we go over to like the tier 1 links or the money or to the project data sheet, wherever the money site URL is, so we'll take this one, for example. Let me open up, give me 1 second while I open up a clean notepad installation or notepad file, excuse me. Shit, I did not mean to do that. Try this again. All right. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at 4 versions of this URL, guys, because if the page is, if hosting and everything is configured properly, then there really should be 4 versions of the URL that all resolve to the same location, right? And that would be HTTP and HTTPS versions, and in with and without www. Okay, so as long as hosting is set up properly, and the reason why we have to do that is because if you just look at the backlink profile of if you just put in one specific URL, it's only going to show you the backlinks pointing to that specific version of that URL, right? With the same protocol and whether it has W. So you're only seeing part of the picture if you are not analyzing all 4 versions of a URL. If it's, the type of URL that people would link to multiple ways, right? So here's an example of that, right? There's 4 different versions of that URL that should all resolve to the same location. So we need to analyze all the backlinks to all 4 versions of that in order to get a true understanding of what the backlinks are. Because remember, the other versions of that URL should be just redirecting to whatever the most current version is. So if you're not looking at the backlinks pointing to those other versions of the URL, then you're not getting the full picture. Okay, hopefully that's clear. So I'm going to put these backlinks into here, and then we're going to go back to that sheet that we used to just analyze the location landing page. I'm going to highlight that first cell, and then I'm going to come down here and just click insert. And now what this has done is it's gone out and it's pulled in the backlinks that were built to that specific page. And what I've done is I've added the flag deleted and flag no follow, because what I always want to do is go to data, sort, and then I'm going to sort by, and I know it's probably small on the screen, guys, so let me cancel out for a minute and I'll zoom in just a little bit. But I'm going to go to data, sort, and then I'm going to select flag deleted, largest to smallest, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to get rid of that URL. There's no sense in analyzing that backlink or including that in the backlink analysis if it's deleted. There is a thing called link echo that can produce an effect even after a link has been deleted. It can still have an SEO benefit for as many as 5 months, from what I understand, has been recorded. I've experienced it for several months myself sometimes, but eventually the link value is going to disappear, for a deleted link. So we get rid of that. We remove that from the analysis if that's clear. The next thing that we do, and again, I can just shrink that down. We don't need to look at that. The next thing I do is then go back to sort, and then I sort by flag no follow, largest to smallest, and we get rid of the no follow links. No follow links are still valuable for SEO, guys. Don't let anybody tell you different. They absolutely are, but they don't affect anchor text ratios, so we eliminate that. And then what's left are these target URLs. And so the next thing that the remaining links after the filters have been applied, the next thing that I do is then I insert a new column, and I call this anchor type. Okay. And then what we do is just go down the line next to these anchor texts, and then I put in a number, a value. I like to highlight that column and then go to format cells and go to text or number, and then remove the decimals and click OK. And I only do that because otherwise it gives you like this stupid message in Excel. So it's annoying. Anyway, then what we do is just sort by anchor text. And the reason we do that is so that it just puts like for like, similar anchor text together. So I'm just going to show this to you. Go to anchor text, click OK. And then here, all we do is, because I know the 5 different anchor text categories that we always use. The first one is brand/URL. The second is miscellaneous. The third is empty/frame. The fourth is target. The fifth is topic. So since I know that, my team and I just go through here and understand that that's keyword plus location modifier. So that's a target anchor. So that's a number 4. This one is going to be a miscellaneous, or because it's a whole bunch of stuff, right? This one is a URL anchor. So that's going to be brand/URL. This one's brand/URL, brand/URL, brand/URL. And in that case, that one looks like it's been truncated. So I'm actually going to make that a miscellaneous. And in this one, even though it's got, actually, this is also a brand/URL and brand/URL, right? So now we've added the 5 or the link types there. And so if I were to come back over here and look at the next thing I would do is, click on data, sort, and then now I'm going to sort by anchor type. And it doesn't matter whether it's largest to smallest or smallest to largest, but we see we've got 9 rows of data with a heading row. So we know there's 8 backlinks pointing to this page right there. So we would then plug 8 into that number because that's the location landing page that we just analyzed. And then we would go back to that sheet and we would look at the quantities of each. So we're going to have 1 target, 2 miscellaneous, right? So if I come back to this sheet, I would come over and click on this and click, we've got 1 target, we've got 2 miscellaneous, right? And then we'd come back and take a look at how many brand/URLs. And by the way, if you just highlight them and you look down at the bottom, you'll see it says count. I know it's probably very small in the webinar, but if you just highlight the number of that particular anchor type, it'll give you the count down here. So it's 5, right? And then you just go back and plug that data into this sheet. And then once you're done with that, I'm going to close that Majestic add-on or plugin or whatever. And then it gives you the anchor text ratio of your target asset. And that's going back to the question that Danny asked earlier in today's Hump Day Hangout. He was asking, how do you build links for multi-location projects? Well, this is a multi-location project. This is an additional location. And you can see that that's what we do is we analyze the top ranked competitors. Now, in some cases, by the way, just so you know, like this keyword plus location modifier is very low competition. So it might make sense when we see data like this where it's very low. By the way, you can also tell most of the time that these are and what are inner pages and which are inner home pages based upon the quantity. In some cases, like for example, you can see that some of these are inner pages with very few external links, because that's all we're analyzing here, guys, is external backlinks. But in some cases, there's some ranking here with basically no external backlinks, even though it's a home page. Okay. So the point that I'm trying to make here, though, guys, is we can see that the data is very low competition for this type of a local search query with that modifier, because maybe that particular location doesn't, people don't search with the location modifier much, or maybe it's an adjacent city or town or whatever to a bigger, larger city that is more common for people to search keyword or tree service plus that city name, whatever the larger city is, right? So maybe that's the case. Well, if when you see that kind of data, in order to make uh, um, a better kind of to have more better data to base your decisions on. Let's put it that way. All right. Here's the Bright local SERP checker. I like to use this a lot because then we can go search for the broad keyword, but we can geolocate. So just tree service, but we can geolocate the browser for that location instead of doing a keyword plus location modifier search query, which is typically going to be less competitive. We can get a better kind of understanding of what the true competition is for the broader, more general search query, but still in a local sense because we've geolocated the browser. Does that make sense? And now you'll see, because this is going to change the data. So if I put in Groveland, MA for Groveland, Massachusetts, but I put in the search query as tree service and I check the search results, the data is likely going to be different than if we searched for that search query with the location modifier. So I'm going to block location access right now because I want this to simulate I'm searching from Groveland, Massachusetts, right? But so if we scroll down here now, let's take a look at this. If we scroll down, we're going to take a look, northerntree.groveland or northerntree-groveland.com, and we'll see, well, and it might, I could be wrong. It might hold true that this is going to be the same kind of data, but in many cases, when you search for the broader term and remove the location modifier, it changes the data. So we're going to find out. We've got Northern Tree Groveland, mayortree.com, which is down at number 8 when it was a local search query, and now it looks like it's maybe around number 4 or 5. So again, the data can shift based on that. Iron Tree Service is actually below. Let's see, Northern Tree. Here's another one. That's Northern Tree. In this case, it's see how the data shifted a bit. Actually, that might still be correct as far as the positioning. But all I'm saying is you might want to test with different search queries when you're analyzing the data. Sometimes the data is very limited when it's a search query with a location modifier. So it might make sense to instead geolocate the browser and do a broader general keyword search that without the location modifier. Hopefully that's clear. What I call a topic anchor. So that would be a topic type of keyword. Okay. But anyways, you plug all that data in here, and that gives you do the exact same process that I just described. And to answer the question about like what are the different sheets for, the link analysis sheets, we just have a separate page for each one of these. It doesn't matter. You can do it all in one, right? These were just because that way we would have separate pages for doing the link analysis for location landing page or the money site, whatever the self-hosted site pages that we're analyzing for a particular search query. The ID page URL, that what used to be the Google Business website sheet, but it's been updated to the ID page sheet. The Google Business Map, again, same thing. It's just for analyzing backlinks for that. And then competitors. We just used one sheet to always analyze competitor data. That's it. You can eliminate those and just put one sheet in there if you want. It doesn't matter. We just did that because it makes it easier for my report generator to kind of segment things. Hopefully that's clear. The last thing I want to talk about very quickly is I don't know if all this was included in the template, but we have project data sheet where we keep track of like subscription information and brand and entity assets and things like that for clients. But then we also, for the projects or Web 2.0 assets and branded entities assets and things that we keep for. The keyword sheet is where we keep track of the target URLs and anchor text that the client submits. But again, you might want to have this sheet in your workbook for when you're doing competitive analysis, just so that you can keep track of the target URLs and anchor text for each URL and all that kind of stuff as well. And then we do additional keyword research to kind of try to pull in additional keywords that we can use for anchor text besides what the client submitted. And then we also have the tier 1 link sheet, which is where we keep track of the links that we build. The tier 2 link sheet, again, these are tier 2 links that we build, so we keep track of those as well. And we just keep track. The workbook is set up to keep very granular details about the anchor text used, the source URL, the topic of the site, the anchor text category, because remember, 1 of 5 anchor text categories I've already described. the ID page URL, ID page anchor, ID page anchor type, and then like last but not least, the data for the Google Business Map as well, which you'll see most of the time we do iframes or embeds for the Google Map. But in some cases, we will do an anchor text link. Usually, we don't like to link besides a brand anchor to the CID map URL. We try not to link to that very often. And when we do an anchor text link instead of a map embed, you'll see most of the time it is going to be a map share URL that we're linking to. That's clear. And last but not least, guys, I do want to keep one thing or mention one thing again, and that is the vast majority of the times when we analyze local search queries like this, or even in the case, where we drop the location modifier, um, like I mean, I don't have the exact statistics on this, but I would, we do this every single month for every single client, and also for all sales calls. This is done for whatever the prospect submits before they jump on a call with me. So I've literally looked at well over 1,000 search queries, local search queries at this level, like this kind of data analysis. And what I see the vast majority of the times, I mean, again, I don't have the exact number on this, but I would say 90% of the time, and that's probably pretty damn accurate. The top five average anchor text ratio for the top ranked organic competitors for a particular local search query, no matter what the query, about 90% of the time, the anchor text ratio is predominantly in the brand/URL category. That's a good thing for us, guys, because as SEOs, whenever you're in doubt about what type of link to build or anchor text link to build back directly to the money site, just go with a damn brand anchor, right? A brand anchor or a compound anchor, which is a brand plus keyword or brand plus location modifier or something like that, because it's the safest thing to do. And it's what the data shows me that Google rewards the most, right? That is the top ranked competitors' average anchor text ratio across well over 1,000 local search queries that I've analyzed at this level. 90% of the time or greater, the average anchor text ratio of the top ranked competitors is going to be predominantly in the brand/URL category. There are always outliers. There are always anomalies to that, or exceptions to that rule, so to speak. But the vast majority of the times it's this. So when in doubt, build a brand anchor. That's it, right? You can always build keyword anchor text links to the tier one link or tier one, the referring page URL that has your tier one link with a brand anchor. That makes sense. So you can push keyword relevance out at tier two. And I'm not saying that you can't also build links directly to your site with keyword anchors, but look what the competitors are doing to get the data so that you can base decisions to make appropriate anchor text assignments, if that's clear. So you can see that this one's still a little bit, it's not quite and that's fine. Remember, this is just an average. So you just want to try to get close within range from your money site. The other two assets you can be a lot more aggressive with if you'd like. The way that we're using ID pages hosted on Amazon S3 bucket, so we can be a hell of a lot more aggressive both with link velocity as well as with anchor text. Same thing with the Google Map, although we don't like to build a lot of links directly to the CID map URL, which is what we're tracking in this pie chart here. You can be a lot more aggressive with the Google Map URL, certainly, than you can excuse me, than you would your money site. Hopefully that's clear. Anyway, good question. I hope that answered it. We're going to move on.